Yes.
President, what's your response to why the pathological liar? Why the tariffs against China now? And are you concerned about the nosedive the Dow took today?
No, I'm not concerned about that at all. I expected that a little bit because people don't understand quite yet about what's happened. We've taxed China on $300 billion worth of goods and products being sold into our country, and China eats it because they have to pay it, because what they do is they devalue their currency and they push money out. Our people haven't paid. As you know, we're also charging them 25% on $250 billion. So we're taking in many billions of dollars. There's been absolutely no inflation, and frankly, it hasn't cost our consumer anything. It costs China. Now, what has happened is a lot of companies are moving out of China so they can, avoid, and China's had a rough this is their worst year in 27 years, according to yesterday's Wall Street Journal. I don't want that. But when my people came home, they said, we're talking, we have another meeting in early September. I said, that's fine. But in the meantime, until such time as there's a deal, we'll be taxing them. We're getting very good numbers from the border. The 21,000 soldiers supplied by Mexico, and I want to thank Mexico. They're doing a great job. The numbers are way down at the border. I think it's very much under control. Very much under control.
We're talking about a full-blown trade war here. What do you say to American?
Well, what would you say it is?
No,
Let me ask you a question. Right. Sure. What would you say when China, for the last 20 years, has been taking hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country, and we had a president that would never do anything, a number of presidents that never would do anything about it? What would you say? For many years, China has been taking money out by the hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We have rebuilt China. So now it's time that we change things around. If they don't want to trade with us anymore, that would be fine with me. Would save a lot of money.
Do you believe that Xi is slow-walking this and is this 10% tariff?
No, I don't know. I think President Xi, who's somebody I like a lot, I think he wants to make a deal, but frankly, he's not going fast enough. He said he was going to be buying from our farmers. He didn't do that. He said he was going to stop fentanyl from coming into our country. It's all coming out of China. He didn't do that. We're losing thousands of people to fentanyl, and this was time. And very importantly, for many years, you know this better than anybody, you've been covering it for a long time. For many years, China has been taking out hundreds of billions of dollars a year and rebuilding China. It's time that we rebuild our country. And you know, the one thing I have to say, and you have to say this, what China is doing is they're devaluing their currency and they're pumping money out like they've never done before, and they're paying for these tariffs. We're not.
Are you concerned by reports that the Chinese army may be preparing to intervene in Hong Kong against demonstrators? And what do you say to the accusation that the U.S. is somehow behind?
Well, something's probably happening with Hong Kong, because when you look at, what's going on, they've had riots for a long period of time, and I don't know what China's attitude is. Somebody said that at some point they're going to want to stop that, but that's between Hong Kong and that's between China, because Hong Kong is a part of China. They'll have to deal with that themselves. They don't need advice.
You put a date of September 1. You put a date of September 1 on these tariffs. Are you giving Xi a chance to negotiate himself out of it?
No. It's September 1. The reason is it takes a long time for the ships to come over, and it's a period of time. So I'm giving a 4-week period of time before the tariffs go on. But we're now taking in tariffs on 10% on over $300 billion and 25% on $250 billion. And it's been proven that our people are not paying for those tariffs.
What will you do on Huawei to give relief to that company?
Well, we've not changed on Huawei. We're not allowing Huawei into our country. We're not changed on that. We can do business for non-security things with Huawei because that's, we'll do that. But anything having to do with national security, we're not dealing with Huawei.
Is the U.S. government involved in the death of Hamza bin Laden?
I can't comment about that, but he was very threatening to our country. He was saying very bad things about our country. I will let you make your own comment about it,
share anything
but I
about
don't
it.
comment. But I will say, Hamza bin Laden was very threatening to our country, and you can't do that. But as far as anything beyond that, I have no comment.
After what he's done this week?
Say it what?
Can you still negotiate with Kim after what he's done now?
Sure, because these are short-range missiles. We never discuss that. We discuss nuclear. What we talk about is nuclear. Those are short-range missiles, sure. And a lot of other countries test that kind of missile also.
Do you still trust President Xi?
Why was the tariff 10%, not 25%? And then on the Fed, you said a quarter point wasn't good enough. What would be good enough for you on the
So
Fed?
interesting, because everyone says, gee, that's so tough, and now you're saying I should have done more. Look, I did more than anybody thought with the first $250 billion, and the 10% is for a short-term period, and then I can always do much more or I can do less, depending on what happens with respect to a deal. But I'm very happy the way it is right now. My people came back. They're going to meet again in September. I said, look, if you meet, that's great. But in the meantime, we're going to pay they're going to pay a tariff, and it'll be a very substantial tariff. Now, if you remember when I did the 25%, I did it in stages. And this can also be lifted ultimately in stages, or it can be taken off. But it can be lifted in stages. So we're starting at 10%, and it can be lifted up to well beyond 25%, but we're not looking to do that necessarily. But this would be done in stages. So I put on 10% on 300. It's approximately 300 billion. We already have a 25% tariff on the first 250 billion. So the 10% follows the 250 billion at 25%. Thank you.